I'm Denny Hunt, and I run Blankity-Blank Potatoes, and we're on Blank Road in Sebastopol. Since we're living on Blank Road, we thought Blankity-Blank Potatoes was, a shoe-in. So, and everybody really liked it, and it's funny, and it wasn't taken yet. And we're in our second year of growing potatoes. I grow about 1 acre of potatoes a year, and we don't have a tractor. We use hand tools mostly. Do a lot of hand work. I use draft equipment when I can. I have a donkey and a mule. The donkey's fully trained. The mule's still in training. We retail from the farm, and we also wholesale this time of year, especially November, December, to Sonoma Market, and also to Fresh by Lisa Hemingway. And sometimes we'll sell a little bit to restaurants too. And then the rest of the potatoes are sold retail here, and then we do some seed sales through the seed bank and from here. Jennifer grew up in Vallejo. I grew up in this area, and my family has a dairy just down the road, and the road where the dairy is named after my great-grandfather, Arps Peterson. And he bought the place back in 1908, and finally after 100 years they really couldn't make a go of it in the dairy business, so they shut down the dairy. Well, the land we live on is 10 acres, and it's really good soil, but they had used all that land for cutting silage for the dairy, and they weren't going to do that anymore, and they were going to switch to grapes. And they asked me if I wanted to go to grapes, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do food, because I thought that would be important in the years to come. So for next year's crop, we got about 1.2 acres disked and cultivated, and I had pulled samples earlier and got the soil test results back, and it was low in calcium. Most of the sources of calcium are not that expensive. What we chose was gypsum or calcium sulfate. That was a good match for what I'm doing here. The sulfur and the calcium in gypsum is a really good amendment for the soil, and it'll get my percentages up just about to where I need them. So I got a ton of gypsum, and I'm doing that today. I'm putting about a ton of gypsum up there, and we'd already put the cover crop seed in, and we also, by recommendation, particularly for potatoes, we also put a very small amount of borax on, about 10 pounds to the acre. We put that on there too. And so once the gypsum is down, once I'm finished with that, I just leave it alone. And in about 2 or 3 weeks, the cover crop will sprout, and then it'll get up maybe 5-6 inches or so, depending on the weather, and then it'll be dormant over the winter. And then in the spring, it just shoots up like crazy. It'll crowd out the other weeds, and then in the spring, I'll mow it and till it in, and that'll give me the nitrogen, because the cover crop is Austrian peas, vetch, oats, and barley. And it's a lot of organic mass that you're going to be incorporating back into the soil. And with the addition of compost tea or not, it kind of depends on temperatures and moisture level. A lot of that organic matter will start to break down into humus, is what the plants can really use. Yeah, legumes are a pretty popular cover crop because they're nitrogen fixers, and they actually take atmospheric nitrogen and put it into the soil. And the process is a little complex. I've read it 100 times, but I don't remember exactly how it works. But with the peas, vetch, Austrian peas, I think cowpeas, a couple other legumes that are popular for cover crops, and they also put a lot of organic matter back in the soil. So the first year was last year, and I already had it on my mule, and I was kind of interested in teaching him how to drive and do farming work with him, but I wasn't there yet. My mule wasn't there yet, and I didn't have any of the equipment. So my cousin Jim Laram, who raises shires, introduced me to his neighbor Stu Schroeder, who has Stone Horse up in Sebastopol, and he's got a barn full of horse-drawn equipment and 2 perch-drawn draft horses. And he had an old potato planter there that was originally purchased in this area, and he ended up being, I think, the 3rd owner. And it was built back in the 20s as an Iron Age potato planter. So Stu said, well, if you help me restore the potato planter, we can use my percherons and plant your first crop. So that winter, we worked on that thing and got it all tuned up, and had to do some machine work, a little bit of welding, and mostly just cleaning it up.
That's the thing that's on your website.
Yeah. So we have a movie of that on my website. So so we got it all working. I bought the seed potatoes. I didn't store them correctly. They sprouted on me. I didn't do any soil testing. It was way late in the year. It was June 11th, I think, the day that we planted. The soil had dried out pretty much. I just got the soil, the hay cut off it, disked and tilled at the last minute, but it was very dry.